Hi everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology. I hope that you're doing well. Today we are going to be talking about the Gemini full moon that's happening on December 4th. Before I get into the video though, I just have a quick notice about my website because I get a lot of messages from people who are on my website asking me what my services are. So I'm assuming that for some reason people are having a difficult time finding those. So if you were on my website and you were looking at my website from your phone, I just want to let people know that in the upper right hand corner, there's a little drop down menu. And if you click on that, you'll see all my services listed. So I have remote spirit release, spiritual response therapy, tarot readings, and astrology readings. I will link my website in the description box as I normally do if you have any questions, but everything that I offer is listed there. Prices are listed. I try to be as descriptive as possible for everything, but of course if you do have a question you can email me those. Now let's get into the astrology video. So the last video I posted was on the Scorpio new moon, and I was talking about the new relationship template and how we are grounding this new relationship template in order to get onto this higher timeline that Spirit is trying to align us to. So here we are 2 weeks later, and we're coming up on a Gemini full moon. And this full moon is building on this new relationship template. And we're going to talk through the astrology of that in a way that can help you see how to utilize this energy in your own life, but also looking at it from the bigger picture too, has a collective energy. So this is really a pivotal full moon, and that's because the full moon, which is a moon-sun opposition, is exactly squaring the nodal axis. So we are having a mutable grand cross, and that is really setting up basically a crossroads. We're at a crossroads with this energy, and how can we shift our dynamic so that we can align to that new timeline? So there is a major release of old karmic energy that is happening around this moon. This is bringing in major relationship healing through our shifts in perception. And this is really a case of as within, so without. If we want to improve our relationships, then we need to look at how we can improve our connection to our true authentic self, our inner being, our inner child, and how can we heal how we are viewing ourselves. This is also aligning with the balancing of the masculine and feminine, and we'll get into that after we talk about this crossroad energy at this mutable grand cross. So where I want to start is in the sign of Virgo. I'm going to pull the chart in for everyone to see. We're starting here in Virgo, and this is the south node of the moon. So because we're dealing with the south node of the moon, we're looking at the past. There's many, many layers to our past. We're looking a lot at our childhood right now. But there's also these multidimensional connections to other lifetimes as well. Now with Virgo, we're wanting to heal ourselves so that we can become a healer. Most of you watching this are on the ascension path, and you're here to be a way shower. So no matter what it is that you do for work or what your career is, in some respect, you're here to be a healer, because as you heal, you become a beacon for others and you can guide others. And it doesn't have to be in a formal healer capacity, even though many of you are going to choose that path. But it's really just about, healing yourself and then being able to help others because you have done the journey. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury, who has finally gone direct. Mercury went direct on November 29th, but still very much in shadow phase. But Mercury has been the ruler of the South Node and is currently the ruler of the South Node. And so we're doing a lot of self-analysis. That's what the Virgo energy is. It analyzes. And Mercury, its ruling planet, has been in Scorpio, really going into our inner depths, plumbing the depths for where we need healing. And with the South Node here, we're looking at where and how do we fit in. All of us have an inner critic. How does your inner critic exert control over you and over your life? How much do you identify with that part of yourself? We can correlate the inner critic with Virgo in the sense that the negative aspects of Virgo are unworthiness, overly critical, wanting to be perfect, the idea that all of humanity is a sinner, therefore we are a sinner, therefore we can never be pure. These are more negative aspects of the sign of Virgo. And part of this grows into the inner critic based on the trauma that we've experienced. Now, the inner critic attacks ourself, but it doesn't stop there, because when you have a strong inner critic or you're very identified with your inner critic, when you go to be in a relationship, the inner critic becomes an outer critic, and you project the things you don't like about yourself onto the other person. And this stops you from getting close to other people. The inner critic harshly judges the self and will say, nobody's going to love you. But when people try to love you, then the outer critic shows up and enumerates all the things that are wrong with that other person. That's a way of preventing yourself from allowing yourself to get close to other people, to avoid intimacy. So I feel like these are very important aspects of what we are working through right now in our process as far as that new relationship template. Remember, we can't take this old energy with us and expect to get a new outcome. So this inner and outer critic equals your defenses and your willingness to let other people in. Now, one of the key points to take away here about Virgo energy is that Virgo's positive energy is being of service and fulfilling your life purpose. So this is where you want your attention to be focused on as you are aligning yourself with the new timeline. And when we talk about service and fulfilling your life purpose, again, we're being very expansive. It's not just about your career, because your life purpose is to embody your soul. To embody your soul means to be authentic. And it means to build relationships with other people, to build a sense of community, so that we can elevate not just our own lives, but we're here to elevate society as a whole and make our society and humanity better, more evolved, more loving. So there's many different aspects of that. But what is showing up for you now will let you know what is blocking you from your life purpose. And it can be an internal process, and it can be what is going on with relationships. It could be romantic relationships, family relationships. And I bet for a lot of you, all of these things are what is showing up for you. But yeah, we're here to bring people together. So relationships and our sense of self-worth need to heal. So to that end, let's look at the North Node, which is in the sign of Pisces right now. This is our connection to spirit and our oneness with everything. Positive energy of Pisces is that we're able to forgive others and ourselves. Through our connection to spirit, we feel God's love. We connect to love. We connect to our spirit guides. And we know that spirit is not judging us. We feel safe in the arms of God so that we can let down our barriers to being our true self and to loving others freely. This is very expansive energy in Pisces. Negative aspects of Pisces are that you might lack appropriate boundaries. And love sets healthy boundaries. You might be dealing with dissociation, inability to ground your energy, feeling isolated, feeling distracted from your purpose because of the three above issues. You might be dealing with these negative qualities as you're trying to work on your healing. You may find that your inability to ground yourself, to stay focused in the present moment, to stop yourself from being distracted is because of the trauma. And that trauma could be what's showing up in that Virgo inner outer critic element. And the key thing I want you to take away from this Pisces part of this square, or this cross rather, is that you let yourself trust in the intangible so that you can ground your dreams, which is you need to trust in what is beyond what you can see with your eyes. If we can't trust in the intangible, it's going to be hard to ground our dreams because we will lack the faith that it takes to bring that into existence. The energy here of this axis, you can read as Virgo, I can trust myself, and Pisces, I can trust God. And you're safe to do these things. So now let's bring in the moon, which is up here in the sign of Gemini. And you can see that the North and South Node, the moon and the sun are all on the 13th degree. So this is an exact grand cross. Very, very pivotal energy. Again, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So we're bringing in that Mercury that has been so paramount and effective in creating inner transformation during its retrograde. Now, Gemini energy is knowledge, data, education, communication. What is square the nodes represents what is unresolved. So having the moon square the nodal axis is showing us that something that's unresolved for us are family issues and also issues with our personality. The moon is considered our shadow side, our hidden emotions, our subconscious, and our need to be loved and loved in return. Our need to be nurtured. So to make the most of this cross, take a look at where you are not feeling loved. How were you criticized? And how do those criticisms affect you today? I'm talking about going back to when you were a child. And how were you criticized? How were you not acknowledged? How were you not given the love, the security, the sense of safety that you needed, the nurturance that you needed? Everybody's been criticized at some point. But of course, that contributes to the inner critic and also the outer critic. And then you want to look at, are those things true? Because Gemini is getting into the facts, the truth. Is what people said about you the truth? Of course, it's not the truth. So this is an opportunity for you to go into the shadow, change your perception of how you're viewing yourself, to help heal your inner child and help them see that they are not what others said they were, and that it's safe for them to be themselves. One of the problems is that the inner critic can block you from seeing truth, both personally and in general. A lot of these things are not based on any kind of fact. Some of them can't be based in fact because they're not something that can be quantified. And so we use perception and belief when it comes to finding the truth. But if we are in some kind of false perception or false belief, then the truth that we project is going to be a false truth. We need that energy of Virgo to help us bring discrimination into our thoughts and our understanding. And we need the Pisces energy to bring in love and spirituality. Again, moving beyond the tangible. A lot of the times we do think about the truth as being quantitative, and we say things like, well, we follow the science. But when we get too dogmatic like that, we're not taking into consideration everything that we're not fully aware of, all the spiritual elements, all the elements in our subconscious that we're unaware of, that all have elements of truth that we need. This is where the Sagittarian energy comes in. And we have the sun over here in Sagittarius, on again the 13th degree. And here we're resolving issues with our true self and our purpose. In Sagittarius, we are part of a large cosmology. And the universe is ordered, and we seek to order and organize our reality through our beliefs. Remembering at the same time that not everything is seen, and that other people are going to have different perspectives based on culture, religion, education, economic status, family, and on and on. In Sagittarius, we use our intuition. We develop and trust our connection to our higher self. These are the positive aspects of Sagittarius. What is challenging with Sagittarius is we can become overrun with false beliefs. Again, the inner critic and outer critic affect our perception of the world. And it affects our sense of, am I safe in the world? Or is the world a dangerous place? Like that is something that is at the core for us. Am I safe? Is the world a safe place? And our inner and outer critic, if those aspects aren't healed, then things don't feel safe. And if we don't feel safe, then it's very hard to move forward. It's very hard to build a relationship with another person. So these concepts, am I safe? Am I worthy? Am I lovable? Are really core to our growth right now. So, this truly is an inner journey right now of personal healing, life purpose, and world healing. Let's take a look at the Sabian symbols for the planets here. The Sabian symbol for the moon is two people at widely different points are in conversation with each other by means of telepathy. This book that I'm using is The Sabian Symbols by Linda Hill. I'm just going to read a bit about this Sabian. This can show that they are far apart in distance from each other, but it can also be that they live in very separate worlds or have very different viewpoints on life. Whatever, they are in conversation with each other by means of telepathy. This symbol embodies the idea that we are never really separate from those with whom we truly belong, as long as we keep them in our mind and our hearts. It's not always necessary to be physically face-to-face with others to communicate in some manner. This symbol shows that lines of communications can still be established if you can't be near a friend or loved one. It seems that you have bonds with another, perhaps with many people, that are unaffected by distance or frequency of communication or visits. When you are unable to be together, it's possible for you to remain connected through sending messages with your mind and heart. You could also be feeling as though you are receiving messages from or about them, but are afraid to pay attention to them. If you have been receiving clairvoyant flashes or premonitions, don't block them, as it is highly likely that they are trying to tell you something worth listening to. You may feel isolated or unable to physically bridge the gap between yourself and someone special. Try to set aside a time of the day or night when you can meditate on each other. Let your heart tell you that you are always in their company and there is no need to feel alone. So, this Sabian, of course, points once again to relationship healing, how we're connected, and how we are united with each other. Of course, for twin flames, we know that twin flames are always telepathically connected, even when they don't get any signs, or even though it may not be registering consciously, that doesn't mean it's not happening. This is a time where you may have new or better conversations with others. Now that Mercury has gone direct as well, that can open up new communication. Remember, Mercury was in deep shadow and is still in Scorpio and is going to be in Scorpio for another week. So we're still plumbing the depths, but now that Mercury is direct, it's going to be easier for you to see ways that you can move forward. The Sabian symbol for the South Node is finely lettered names and mysterious lines are seen. It is a family tree. There is a need to call upon the deeper and inherent knowledge within. What's been learned from past experience, possibly from one's ancestral roots, will help you allocate your greatest strength. This symbol implies the need to feel links to a family heritage or the desire for a sense of security it can bring. If there is no strong sense of one's own biological family, this can be found through associations with people of like mind or with those who share a common purpose in life. Both physically and spiritually, you carry the blood of all those who went before you. How do you feel about your role in your family? Do you feel involved, wanted, or loved? So with this Sabian symbol, we're focusing on what did we inherit, whether we inherited that from our family or our soul family. When I mention soul family, what I mean there is what have we inherited from our soul's past? In our soul's journey throughout time, we've been connected to other people, and those people become our family. It's not just our blood. Also, what karma did we inherited? What is our ancestral inheritance? What is our cultural inheritance? These things are going to play a role in how you're viewing yourself, how you're viewing relationships, your beliefs, and your perceptions. And of course, this is where a lot of our trauma comes from. ancestral trauma, cultural trauma, family abuse. Even with our soul family, some soul family members are here to trigger us, and there can be disagreements within soul families. And those can be very tough, sometimes even tougher than our blood family. Okay, let's look at the sun Sabian symbol. A vast panorama of sand and time is unfolding. The pyramids and sphinx in their glory rise before the eyes. With this one, I'm just going to read key words. Ancient histories and mysteries, the power of the past affecting today's world, spiritual ancestry, mysteries that enrich, decoding, magicians and prophets, secret messages or tricks of perception, riddles, plans and executing them, Egyptian things, the rich versus the poor, world finances, architects, builders. This Sabian harkens back to the karmic energy that we're clearing. Even though the clearing can be quite challenging at this time, let's focus on the Dharma, because it's through clearing the karma that we receive our Dharma. And this tableau that the Sabian talks about, the Sphinx and the pyramids in their glory before our eyes, that harkens back to deep, inherent spiritual knowledge that we all have, that we have all participated in. It's just a matter of remembering it. And that healing process that we talked about, we need that in order to get to the higher knowledge. The Sabian symbol for the North Node is a woman wrapped in fox fur. One thing that I pick up from the Sabian is about protecting ourselves, as she's wrapped in this big fur coat that can hide oneself. It also speaks to me again of inheritance, because fur coats are a symbol of wealth. And fur coats are often passed down from one generation to another. We might consider how we are too caught up in those material things to discern the truth of our life, the truth of spirit, and the truth of what we are being manipulated with. We would also see perhaps a woman wrapped in a fur coat. We would naturally assume that that woman is very wealthy. And there can be elements connected to our inner and outer critic that have a lot to do with how we perceive wealth, how we judge ourselves regarding what we have or what we don't have, and how we judge others based on what they have or don't have, and where that might be a false belief or a false perception. Now, the next thing I want to mention that I talked about in the last video was Magdalene and Yeshua. They're still opposite each other. Magdalene has now moved into Virgo at 1 degrees, 26 minutes, and Yeshua is at 3 degrees, 52 minutes in Pisces. And also in this opposition now is the asteroid Destin that has just moved into the 1st degree of Pisces. And these planets are squaring Venus in Sagittarius. So this is what I mentioned at the beginning of the video, how we're balancing the masculine and feminine energy. The feminine energy is taking a bit center stage right now based on the depth of the healing that we're going through. But the masculine is going to take over very soon when we're ready to become more stabilized on that new timeline. The feminine energy is healing karmic patterns, and the masculine energy is healing fear of moving forward or fears of being unprotected. Right now, we're focusing on letting the feminine side lead and then allowing our masculine to take action by trusting the feminine. And part of trusting spirit comes back to trusting our feminine side. That's our intuition. If we don't trust spirit, therefore we don't trust ourselves, then we cannot be in tune with our feminine side fully. So remember, this is going on inside everyone, whether you're man or woman. You're needing to let your feminine side lead and have your masculine learn to trust your feminine side. Because when we get to the new timeline, like I said, we have to believe in things that are not seen. We have to trust the promises that God has made to us. We need to trust that the abundance is going to be there, that the love is going to be there, even in these times where maybe you're not seeing it. We have asteroid Lucifer conjunct the South Node. And I wanted to mention that briefly because for me, this is representing that if we're not careful, the dark energy can pull us back into our past and make it impossible for us to heal. Lucifer or satanic energy is dark energy. Often my guides can show me something and couch it in the terms of that satanic energy. They don't literally mean that, someone was doing a satanic ritual. It's more like just anything that is negative, anything that is in shadow is satanic energy. If we think about satanic energy as being dark and that energy of God as being light, the dark creates limitations. The darkness hides things. It blinds us to truth. It shrinks us. It makes us unclear about who we are and what our purpose is. And it makes it hard to heal because it keeps reeling us back to our past. But the light is expansive. It exposes truth. It exposes reality. And it helps us to trust and to believe in our divine nature and our divine essence. So we have to watch that we don't get trapped by the dark forces. But we push ourselves to work through our limitations, even though it's going to be painful at times and it's going to be challenging. So we're working with this energy, with the Magdalene Yeshua squaring Venus energy. We're working on trust issues with spirit, with ourself, and with others. How can we love without trust? They go hand in hand. This opposition between Yeshua and Magdalene is guiding us towards sacred union. If any of you guys did my SRT clearing series on sacred sexuality, then you may be going through issues around sexuality and healing old wounds or upgrading your ideas about sexual connection. I always say that spirit guides me in what I work on as far as SRT and the collective goes, and they're always on point. I had no idea when I did that series that this opposition was happening between Magdalene and Yeshua, and that this new relationship template was grounding at this time. But clearing the old negative sexual energy to move into sacred union or sacred sexuality is one of the key factors. But because we worked on clearing that, and that came out over the summer, I think I posted it in July. So most of you will have done that in July or August. It's still available. I'll link it in the description box if you want to look into it, if you haven't done it already. But the energy with SRT is once you ask spirit to clear it, oh, they're going to clear it for you. And it doesn't always happen immediately. Some of these things are very deep, and so it takes time for them to unravel. But with this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, the Scorpio new moon, this crossroads that we're at, and the new relationship template, where you might be feeling blocked in your sexual energy is something that's probably going to show up for you now. That aspect of Magdalene and Yeshua is going to be important on December 10th as well. Let me pull up another chart. This is the chart for December 10th. So that's like 6 days that we have, and probably a few days after. Definitely. Well, I'm just going to say between this full moon and the next new moon, we're going to have a lot of intense work around relationships. And this is another sign for it here. Because on the 10th, we have Mercury now direct in an exact conjunction with asteroid Union on basically the 29th degree. Not quite, but they're like 3 seconds away from the 29th degree of Scorpio, which is the anaretic degree, which is really going to push us to heal these blocks in union. And this Mercury Union conjunction is exactly opposing Uranus. Not to mention, it's squaring Magdalene and Yeshua and Destin. Now that is a loose square, but as Mercury moves along, and Mercury's moving at a pretty good clip now, it will be coming into a deeper square, T-square, with those asteroids. We also, at that same time, have Venus in an exact square with the nodes, and we have the moon crossing the south node of the moon. We have the sun squaring Saturn. I should say sun and Mars squaring Saturn, and sun and Mars trine Chiron. So that's a lot. This is going to be intense. We're healing grief around love, fears of love, lack of union, thoughts of separation. What isn't working around love and relationships? This period of time is all about healing what is preventing you from allowing love into your life. Heal it. Go back and listen to my channeled message from Mary Magdalene last year on True Sacred Union, where she talks about freeing yourself from your walls to love. And I'm going to link that here, and I'm going to link it at the end of this video if you want to go back and watch that. Before I end, I do want to mention the Sabian symbol for Magdalene at the full moon, which is a large white cross dominating the landscape, stands alone on top of a high hill. Feelings of loneliness or loss can be healed with signs of hope and faith for a brighter future. A religious experience can change one's life and lead to spiritual fulfillment and the highest sense of joy. Instead of having a cross to bear, we can work at realigning ourselves with our true desires and alliances. We can ground ourselves and our lives by creating a balanced set of circumstances in our life: money, relationships, family, career, etc. And this can lead to a stronger sense of purpose and spirituality, dissipating feelings of sacrifice, separation, and loneliness. And then I'm going to read the one for Yeshua as well. The Sabian is heavy car traffic linking two seaside resorts. This can show communications and linkages between separate worlds, leading to increased pleasure or frustration, confusion, or psychic indigestion. There's a need for patience and give and take as there's a lot going on and confusion can set in if one doesn't follow the rules of the game. You may feel like you're getting stuck in a pattern or continually bouncing back and forth, never arriving at any final or desirable destination. This can be very tiring. It's important to realize that although being squeezed in can bring on a sense of panic or discomfort, the chances are that it will not be permanent, and there is probably something better and more pleasurable waiting for you once you get out of your current situation. So those two Sabians, I think, speak a lot to the energy that we find ourselves in and how we might feel like we're back and forth. We might feel stuck. We might feel like we're in a traffic jam. We might not know where we're going. But if we can continue our healing so that we can stay focused on our dreams and our desires, if we can trust that Spirit is guiding us, then we will have the necessary strength to keep going, knowing that we are getting so very close to that new timeline and that new beginning. I am planning a new series in January to help all of us heal so that we can manifest the love of our dreams. I'm very excited about it, and I'll tell you guys more about it very soon. Until then, if you feel like you need a clearing, if you're finding that what is coming up for you to clear is very heavy, or if you are feeling stuck, then a remote spirit release clearing can help you shake off that dark cloud and give you that little push that you need to keep going. I am still offering the mini clearing for $89. So it's pretty economical right now if you think that that will help you. I'm also doing SRT clearings as well. And those can also help you move forward, as I spoke about. And I do have several series on Vimeo for purchase using SRT, such as that healing for sacred sexuality, healing the divine masculine, healing the divine feminine, healing communication. There might be one other one. I can't remember, but I will link them all in the description box below. If you could like this video, if you could subscribe to this channel, if you could share these videos with someone that you think might enjoy it, I would be so appreciative to help me grow and expand. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, sending you all a lot of love.